Amani is a sad loser who had no friends, so he gooned to Sydney Sweeney's Juicy Drumsticks. However, his life turns around when he saves the depressed girl who lives next door with his soft boy Riz, and she falls in love with him, making his life complete and happy. It all starts on a rainy day when Amani is heading home from school, and he sees Mahiru sitting on the swing like a depressed emo girl. At first, Amani decides to ignore her, but then he sees tears in her eyes, so he walks up to her and asks if she needs help. She tells him to leave her alone, but Amani gives her his umbrella so she doesn't get sick. The next day, Amani starts sneezing in class, and his friend Itsuki wonders how he got sick when he had an umbrella. Amani admits he gave it to a girl on the way and walked home drenched in the rain. Just then, Mahiru enters the class, and all the boys start referring to her as an angel because having her as a wife would be nothing short of heaven. After school, Amani heads home with a fever and is shocked to see Mahiru standing outside his apartment, holding the umbrella that he lent her. She immediately notices that he has a fever, but Amani tells her to mind her own business. When Mahiru argues this is her fault, Amani takes the umbrella and tells her to skedaddle, only to collapse in front of his door. Mahiru declares she won't leave him alone until he's better and opens the apartment door, only to be met with piles of garbage and an awful stench. Seeing this, she tells him that she's going to grab something from her place, and that's when he learns she lives next door to him. That night, Amani wakes up to find Mahiru in a night suit staring at his face, and she tells him he had passed out for 2 hours. She says she used this time to make him rice porridge, which surprises him. She then hands him a thermometer to take his temperature, and Amani casually lifts his shirt to show his slender man physique. Mahiru immediately closes her eyes and looks away, and in that moment, Amani realizes she's really cute. Soon after, she brings him food, and Amani is surprised she didn't blow up the kitchen while cooking. Amani then takes a bite and tells her it's good, which puts a gentle smile on her face. After eating, he asks her if she was sitting alone in the rain because she got pumped and dumped, but she tells him she's never been in a relationship. She then sternly asks why he made that assumption, and he says it's because she is popular and every guy wants to clap her. Mahiru sternly tells him that she is single and is the type to follow in Bonnie Blue's footsteps, so Amani apologizes for upsetting her. He then tells her she can go home because he feels better, but Mahiru is surprised because every guy she met until this point wanted to date her. When Amani tells her he has no such intentions with her, she smiles at him before leaving. Amani then lies in his bed all alone, saddened by the fact that they will become strangers tomorrow. The following night, Amani is chugging prime juice on his balcony when Mahiru shows up and asks if he had anything for dinner. When he says this is his dinner, she gets upset and brings him leftovers. She adds that she's doing this for her own satisfaction, because seeing him live like a pathetic gooner makes her annoyed. Amani happily accepts it and says it's the first time an angel has brought him food, but she tells him not to call her that. She then orders him to get his life together, and he realizes she's a dummy mommy. The next day, he returns the tray and tells her the food was delicious, so Mahiru surprises him by giving him another container full of food. Amani says he cannot accept this, but Mahiru says she always makes more than she can eat, so it's better if it goes in his mouth than in the trash. He jokes that she must have feelings for him to make him meals, but when Mahiru shows no reaction, he ends up friend-zoning himself. For the next few days, Mahiru keeps handing him containers full of fresh meals, and even Itsuki notices that Amani has become a little healthier than before. Later, Amani runs into Mahiru at the grocery store, but she's in a predicament because the cooking oil on sale is limited to 1 per customer. Amani figures he will have to buy an extra for her, and it makes her happy because he read her mind. He then praises her for spending her allowance so wisely, but for some reason, it makes her sad. Not wanting to meddle with her personal matters, Amani chooses not to dwell on it. The next day, Mahiru rings Amani's doorbell to ask for the container, but learns that he's finally cleaning his apartment. She tells him to start with his room and declares that she will help, so Amani follows his lead like a good boy. As they pack the mess into boxes, Mahiru trips on something and falls directly into Amani's lap. She then scolds him for leaving things out in the open, and Amani apologizes. By the end of the day, they clean the whole place up, but since they are both tired, Amani orders a pizza. Mahiru admits she's never had one before because her rich daddy had hired a chef back home, so when she actually enjoys it, Amani finds her reactions cute. When she tells him to stop acting like her creepy uncle, he admits he likes her much more at home because she is honest about her feelings. As she leaves his place, Amani asks what she gets from cooking for him, and she says that she wants her neighbor to be healthy. The next day, Amani sees Mahiru in the park and asks her why she looks so depressed. Mahiru tells him it's nothing, but he sees white hair on her uniform and questions if he was playing with a cat. Mahiru shyly admits she was trying to rescue a cat that was stuck in a tree, so Amani quickly leaves and brings ice packs. He then tells her to remove her tights because he needs to apply ice to her injured foot. Mahiru asks him how he figured it out, and he says it's because one of her shoes was half on, and straining a foot while rescuing a cat is classic woman behavior. After he looks away, Mahiru removes her tights and covers her legs with his jacket, finding it cute how cautious he is around her. After applying ice, Mahiru feels a little bit better, so he puts a compressor on her leg. Afterward, he gives her his pants because she can't wear tights on a compressor. He also gives her a hoodie so people don't recognize her when he carries her back home. On the way, she apologizes, but he says it's what any gentleman would do, which makes her blush. The next day, during sports class, Itsuki asks Amana why he's wearing shorts instead of his pants, but he lies that he forgot them at home. Just then, they see some pick-me girls cheering on Yuta, the most popular guy in school. Itsuki mentions how they never talk to Yuta despite being in the same class. But Amane gets distracted when his eyes meet Mahiru. When Mahiru smiles at him, he nervously looks away, but Itsuki takes note of his reaction. That evening, as Mahiru returns Amane's clothes and brings him dinner, Amane mentions how the guys were reacting all weird when she smiled, but it makes her sad because everyone always keeps a close eye on her. Amane then explains that most guys short-circuit when a pretty girl smiles at them, and the girls reacted similarly when Yuta waved at them. Mahiru says she is not interested in Yuta because he's in a different class, and it surprises Amana because he's kinda bussin'. She says if feelings were developed only based on looks, he would have already fallen in love with her because she knows how cute she is with how people react to her. He then notices that she made crock for him, but since it is already cold, he wishes he could have it fresh someday. Mahiru asks if he wants to come over, and Amane quickly apologizes for giving her the wrong impression. However, Mahiru says she is willing to cook for him if they split the cost, and he lets her use his kitchen. Amane asks her why she's not scared of him, and she says she will crush his coconuts if he tries to steal her V card. She also reminds him that she is the class rep, and can even get him expelled, but in the end, she says she is not even his type, so he won't even try anything to begin with. Amane asks how she is so sure, and she says it's because of the way he acts around her. Since she knows he is not a threat, she can ease up around him and be herself. The following day, Mahiru heads to the store to buy ingredients and later visits Amana's apartment to cook for him. She notices that his stove looks and the pan looks brand new because he's never used them even once, and he jokingly tells her to shut up. She then asks him to go sit in the living room while she cooks because she worries he will mess something up with his lack of experience. Amane comments on how she is so blunt with him, and she says there is no point beating around the bush. With that, he watches her cook like a master chef and admits to himself that Mahiru will make a perfect wife. Just then, Mahiru tells him to stop fantasizing about her, and he feels embarrassed for getting caught red-handed. Soon after, she brings the food to the table, and Amane is shocked at just how professional it looks. He then takes the first bite, and he likes it so much that he starts eating it at a rapid pace. Mahiru comments that he's surely having fun, and Amane adds that he should be blunt about how it feels instead of eating in silence. She then smiles at him and tells him he's right, but she looks so cute that Amane freezes in the moment. As they do dishes together, Amane asks Mahiru if it is okay for them to have dinner together every day, and she says yes. He then asks why she cooks for a guy she doesn't even like, and she reminds him it's for her own satisfaction. But then she says she will stop if he doesn't like it. But Amane quickly tells her to keep cooking, which amuses her. The next day, Amane finishes his test, and Itsuki joins him right after to complain about it. Just then, Itsuki's girlfriend, Chidose, arrives, and he starts patting her head, prompting Amana to call him shameless. At home, he sees Mahiru grading her own test, and compliments her for working so hard, but she gets all serious and says she has no other choice. She then packs up and leaves, but Amane notices she left her student card and hands it to her. In doing so, he sees that her birthday is in 4 days, so the following night, he randomly asks her if she needs anything in particular. Mahiru tells him she could use a new sharpening stone, which catches him off guard. The next day, he asks Itsuki and Chidose to recommend him presents for a girl, and Chidose gets excited thinking he's finally getting laid. After going through some options, Amane thinks about getting a plushie for Mahiru, but since carrying one hurts his fragile ego, he asks Chidose to come shopping with him. She starts teasing him by saying she will think about it, but then he begs her to come along. She notices a pasty shop behind and says she's craving something sweet, and Amane is frustrated because he has to bribe her. On Mahiru's birthday, he casually sits beside her and hands her the present, admitting he saw her date of birth on her student card. She tells him she never celebrates her birthdays, so Amane asks him to accept it as a token of gratitude instead. She then reaches into the bag and finds a hand cream inside. Amane says she's been doing a lot of housework lately, and this will help keep her hands soft, which makes her happy. Then she notices that there is another item in the bag, and it turns out to be a cute teddy bear. He tells her to throw it away if she doesn't like it, but she hugs the teddy tightly and says she won't ever do that. With a gentle smile, she says she will cherish this gift, and Amane finds her so adorable in that moment that he regrets looking at her. She then says she is not used to accepting gifts from strangers, but she is accepting this one because he's not a stranger. This makes Amane see rainbows and unicorns, and he stops himself from patting her head. A few days later, someone starts banging on Amane's door, and it turns out to be his chaotic mother, Shihoko. He greets her like she's his annoying ex, and when she says she traveled so much just to see him, he thanks her before telling her to skedaddle. She ignores him and tries to come in, but he blocks the door until she reminds him she's the one paying rent for this apartment. With that, he lets her in, and Shiroko sees that his place looks rather neat, and his skin is glowing, so she asks the brother to drop his skincare routine. Amani starts blushing because right before she came, he had Mahiru over, so he gave her the key and told her to hide in his room to wait for the perfect opportunity so she could sneak out. Shiroko then sees he's been cooking as well, but wonders why all the dishes are in pairs when he lives alone. Amani nervously says he had a friend over, so Shiroko asks to see his bedroom next. Amani argues that he wants to keep his bedroom private, so she asks if he's hiding a juicy goth mommy in there. When he says it's just usually schoolboy stuff, she suspects he is hiding something from her, but Amani continues to deny it. Without hesitating, Shiroko barges into Amani's room and is shocked to see Mahiru sleeping like a cute doll. She immediately lights up because her son has scored a top-tier baddie, but Amani tells her she's just a friend. Shiroko tells him not to make excuses and mentions how a guy would never invite a girl into his room unless he liked her. Amani freezes for a second because he's recently started to like Mahiru, but he copes by saying he only likes her as a friend. Just then, Mahiru wakes up, so Shiroko calmly approaches her and asks for her name. Mahiru shyly introduces herself, and Shiroko makes her nervous by bombarding her with questions regarding Amana. Mahiru finally tells her that she and Amani are not a couple, but Shiroko thinks they're just too shy to confess to each other. Mahiru then tells her that she and Amani just eat dinner together because he can't cook for himself. But when Shiroko says she will make a perfect wife, Amani asks Mahiru to just give up because Shiroko won't listen to reason. After some time, Shiroko finally accepts the truth, but then teases that they're kind of living together. She then tells Mahiru that while Amani is loudmouthed and stubborn, he is also very sincere and kind, but since he has zero experience with girls, she should take the reins. Finally tired of her nonsense, Amani yells at her to leave, so she finally decides to let them go. Later, Amani apologizes to Mahiru and tells her that her mom will keep bugging her, but Mahiru says it's because Shiroko cares a lot about him. From the way she says it, Amani wonders if she's been devoid of love, but chooses not to dwell on it. She then says it made her happy when Shiroko called her by her first name, because no one, not even her parents, calls her by her name. Amani tells her he'll call her by her first name from now on, and this makes her happy, so she calls him by his first name too. They agree to only do it when they are alone, and this way, it will be their cute little secret. She then hands him his apartment key, but Amani asks her to keep it and only return it when they stop hanging out. He also says it's annoying to walk to the door every time she comes, but he's letting her have the key because he trusts her. This makes Mahiru blush, and she agrees to keep the key on her. She then says she might randomly drop by to clean the house and stuff his fridge with meals, and Amani says that will make him happy. The next day, the test results come out, and Mahiru is at the top as expected, so Amani decides to do something for her. That night, she opens his fridge to find a cake inside, and Amani tells her he got it to celebrate her top score. Mahiru says it's not special because she's always on top, but Amani asks her to just accept it because she has worked so hard. She then sits beside Amani and takes one bite, which immediately lights up her mood. She then gives one bite to Amani, and he shyly takes it from her hand. However, now he feels awkward, so he snatches the fork from her and feeds her a bite from his own hands. It gives her butterflies in her stomach, and Amani realizes he must keep his guard up or he might fall in love with her. The next day, he heads to the grocery because he wants to try cooking for himself, admitting that the angel next door is gonna spoil and rotten. Returning home, he runs into Mahiru, who realizes he wants to cook for himself and agrees to supervise him in case he blows up the kitchen. Soon after, Amani begins the process and somehow ends up creating something that looks edible. Mahiru prays to the gods to give her plot armor before she tastes it, and it turns out Amani really sucks at cooking. She then switches out his plate for the omelet she created, and it looks like it belongs in a Gordon Ramsay restaurant. As he tastes it, she appreciates him for trying his best and realizes she won't be needed if he gets the hang of it. However, Amani quickly blurts out that he wants her to keep cooking for him, so she tells her she will continue to do so. The next day, Cheetos eagerly asks Amani to host a Christmas party, but he bluntly says no. Cheetos starts to think he's having a Diddy party with his new chick instead, but he says he doesn't have a chick to begin with. She asks him who he bought that teddy bear for, and he says it was for his neighbor, who helps him with stuff. Cheetos then insists that he hosts them, and he agrees on the condition that they all skedaddle after dinner. When Cheetos hints that she won't, Amani starts pinching her cheeks until Itsuki tells him that he should be the one doing it. That night, he asks Mahiru if he has plans for Christmas, and she says she'll be at home because most of her girlfriends are getting piped by Santa. What? He then tells her that Atuski and Cheetos are coming for Christmas Eve, so Mahiru agrees to stay in her apartment until they leave. However, Amani knows she will be lonely, and even though she is used to it, he suggests they spend Christmas together. Mahiru says she has been meaning to try his gaming console, so they can spend the day playing games. On 24th December, the lovebirds come over to make Amani feel like a third wheel, and notice how his place looks like a girl has decorated it. They also mention how a bunch of guys asked Mahiru out today, but she turned them down, saying she had plans. Just then, it begins to snow, and they rush to the balcony, only to see Mahiru chilling next door.
Magic.
Amana has no choice but to invite her in, and Cheetos is over the moon because Amana is living next door to the angel. Istuki asks them how their dynamite works, and Mahiru reveals that since she owed him a favor, she started making meals for him because he was becoming DoorDash's biggest customer. Istuki is surprised that Amana doesn't have feelings for Mahiru because she's a housewife in the making, which makes them both blush. They both explain that they have no such motives, and that's the main reason why Mahiru is helping him in the first place. The lovebirds start teasing him for buying a teddy bear for Mahiru, and he tells them to shut up, which makes Mahiru smile. Amana then asks them not to share this with anyone, and Cheetos says no one would believe the school angel is dating someone whose face looks like it loads in 1440. She then takes a closer look at Mahiru's face and is mesmerized by her facial harmony and buttery skin. She pesters Mahiru to drop the skincare routine, but Amane tells her to back off because Mahiru is shy and doesn't like to be touched. He also tells Mahiru that even though Cheetos acts like she has an extra chromosome, she is a good person at heart. Despite being annoyed by the insults, Cheetos ignores Amana and extends an invitation of friendship to Mahiru, which she shyly accepts. Itsuki then introduces himself as Amana's best friend and tells Mahiru that he will beat him up if he ever tries something funny with her. But Mahiru politely says Amana is most likely into mommies with sausages.
Ayo, what the?
Cheetos then eagerly asks if Mahiru has any speciality in cooking, and Mahiru mentions she can cook pretty much anything. After they leave, Mahiru admits it was fun hanging out with them because she usually doesn't hang out with a lot of people. After they talk about the snow, Mahiru leaves to bring dinner, and Amani feels a little sad because he was hoping their friendship would remain a secret for a little longer. Later, as he almost burns his mouth with hot food, Mahiru looks at him with bubbly eyes and mentions how he looks so happy while eating. He replies that it's because her cooking is really good, and she must not underestimate her value. Later, he asks how he learned so many dishes, and she reveals it was from her caretaker who made food joyful for her. Amana says he also finds food joyful thanks to her, which creases Mahiru because she didn't think she was at that level yet. He sternly declares that her food is so good he wants to have it every day, only to look away because he can't tolerate how cute she is. He then changes the topic by asking what they will do tomorrow, and Mahiru says she will come over at noon so they can play lots of games. The next day, Mahiru keeps losing and asks Amana for help, so he grabs her hand to teach her the controls. However, they both realize they are too close and start blushing, which makes things a little awkward. When Amana apologizes, she tells him she's not upset because he's not a stranger. Soon after, she plays a racing game and starts leaning left and right, as if she is inside the game. Then suddenly, she leans too much and falls into Amana's lap, which leaves her embarrassed. Amane bursts into laughter because she's so freaking cute, and she angrily tells him not to make fun of her. When Amane says she is adorable, she gets even more embarrassed and starts poking her fists into him. After a while, she finally wins the race and is super happy, so Amane hands her a small gift for taking first place. She opens the box to find a pink key case because he has already lent her his key, and it makes her happy. She notes he has a sense of style, even though he dresses like a hermit, and even reveals that Shihoko sent her a picture of how he looked when he lived with his parents. She then leans in and tells him that all his handsome features are hidden by his bangs, before sweeping his hair to the side and being surprised by his big bright eyes. Amana pays her back by doing the same thing to her hair, and they both freeze in the moment as it seems like they are about to kiss. Mahiru then mentions that she also got him a present, and it turns out to be a black scarf. Amana then mentions how she's a lot more open now compared to the first time they met, and he likes her this way a lot more. He also tells her that she looks really cute when she smiles, but she gets so embarrassed that she covers his face with the scarf just to make him stop saying such things. She then gets up and heads to the balcony, and Amana puts a jacket on her so she doesn't catch a cold. He then admits these past 2 months have been great thanks to her, and she thanks him back for the things that he doesn't even realize. The next day, Amana notices that Mahiru looks red, so when he asks her to take her temperature, she lies about it. He sees that she has a high fever, but he knows she won't sit in one place, so he carries her in his arms and is about to take her to her room. When she says he shouldn't go into a girl's room, Amana tells her to sleep in his room instead, and she shyly agrees to it. He then gives her medicine and forces her to rest, admitting that it is his own fault for making her do so much work every day. Just when he is about to leave, she grabs his pants and hides under the blanket before telling him goodnight. He then grabs her hand and tells her to rest, telling him that he won't let go until she falls asleep. However, as Mahiru closes her eyes, she tightens her grip on his hand. The next day, she wakes up feeling a little better, and Amana decides to make her gelatin and rice porridge. Afterward, he decides to sit beside her so she doesn't feel lonely, and Mahiru admits no one has ever cared for her like this before. Amana tells her that it's bad for him, too, if she stays sick, which makes her think he's complaining about her occupying his bed. In reality, Amana says he is complaining because he can't spend time with her if she is sick. He then tells her to sleep again so she can recover, and Mahiru asks him to hold her hand like he did last night. After she falls asleep hand in hand, Amane tells himself that he's an idiot and she's not good for his heart. On New Year's Eve, Amane and Mahiru spend time together at his place, and Mahiru hopes they can continue their friendship in this new year as well. Just then, Amane gets a text from Itsuki, who asks him if he's enjoying the New Year's Eve with Mahiru. Right then, Amane gets a text from his mother asking him the same thing, which annoys him. He also gets a text from his dad, who asks if they can visit him the day after tomorrow, and he tells him they can. Just when he turns to tell Mahiru, she suddenly leans on his shoulder and falls asleep. He recalls how she was busy all day making food, but even then, he wants her to sleep in a cozy bed. When he tries to wake her up, she drops right into his arms, and he realizes those Sunsilk shampoos smell really good. He then goes through his options of startling her to wake up, carrying her to her apartment, and putting her in his own bed while he sleeps on the couch. He goes with the third option and caresses his hand on her cheek before leaving the room. He assumes she will be shocked when she wakes up, but when he checks in on her the next day, he is shocked to find that she hasn't even woken up. He quietly approaches her and admits she looks cute when she is sleeping before gently touching her cheek. She opens her eyes slightly and closes them again, but then she starts rubbing her face on his hand like a cat. When she wakes up, she starts to panic until Amane tells her nothing happened between them. She asks if he likes touching her cheeks, but little does she know, Amane would prefer clapping them instead.
You naughty.
He asks if she was awake the whole time, but she says she'd only woke up slightly and saw him. Amane questions why she thought he wouldn't try anything more with her, and Mahiru admits she was letting him do it to see how far he would go. When he asks if she wants him to make a move on her, Mahiru hides herself in the blanket and calls him stupid for saying embarrassing things. Later, Amane's parents visit, and he greets his dad, Shudo, kindly because he actually asked for his permission before coming. He then notices a suitcase, and his mother tells him she brought some things for him. As they step inside, Amane's father calmly greets Mahiru and says Shiroko told him all about her. He then turns to Amane and tells him to be nice to Mahiru because she helps him so much, and Mahiru says Amane is very kind towards her. As they get seated, Shudo and Shiroko start love-bombing each other, and Mahiru whispers to Amane that his parents can smash in her apartment if they want. Shiroko then says she's brought a kimono for Mahiru so they can visit the shrine together, but Amane says he can't go because his classmates would start rumors. However, Shiroko tells him not to get caught, so Amane is forced to dress up like a normal human being. His father tells him he looks good when he tries, and Amane recalls Itsuki telling him the same thing. Just then, Mahiru shows up looking like a full-course meal, and it leaves Amane speechless. When Shiroko insists he says something, he tells her she looks gorgeous, which makes them blush. After his parents leave, he bluntly tells her she is the reason why Japanese is the most watched category. Mahiru then whispers in his ear that he looks really handsome, leaving the guy stunned. Later, as they are walking to the shrine, Mahiru stops for a second to check her shoe, but someone bumps into her. Amane asks her to grab his hand, and she shyly agrees. Later, they pay their respects at the shrine, and when Amane asks what she wished for, she says she wished for everlasting peace like the one she has right now. Amane then treats her to a red bean soup, and when he asks to take a sip, she becomes extremely nervous. She then swaps cups with him, asks why he is not nervous right now, but was nervous when they had cake. Realizing she's worried about an indirect kiss, Amane apologizes, but she says it is just a little embarrassing. Amane says he's used to acting so casually around Chistos and Itsuki because they are friends, so Mahiru takes a sip from declaring they are close friends too. After they return home, Mahiru thanks her because she had a good time and also enjoyed having dinner with his family. Amane can't hold himself from giving her a head pat, but when she resists a little, he starts messing up her hair to annoy her. She gives up and lets him do his thing, but when he suddenly stops, she acts like she wants more. When Amane starts teasing her, she gets upset and runs away blushing. She then peeks from behind her door and calls him a dummy before closing her door, leaving the guy blushing. The next day, Shudo and Shiroko are about to leave and ask Amane to visit them during the summer. Shudo then asks Mahiru to keep being friends with their son, and she says she plans to because he is very sincere. Later, he tells Mahiru she doesn't have to flatter his parents, but she says she meant everything she said. She adds that he truly has a good personality, and she trusts him enough to sleep in his bed, so she is not flattering him at all. She then leaves to make lunch, and Amane smiles, knowing he made the right choice moving here. The next day in class, Amane hears some girls gossiping about Mahiru holding hands with a boy at the shrine, but no one recognizes him since he was dressed so formally. At home, he shares the news with Mahiru, and she's glad people didn't recognize her because it'll be easier to clear up the misunderstanding. She then asks if they really look like a couple, and Amane says he can never imagine a guy like him dating her. Hearing this upsets Mahiru, and she sternly tells him not to downplay himself like that. She then goes on to list all the nice things about him, including his 8 inches of plot, and it leaves him flustered. While he's doing the dishes, Mahiru sits on the couch with her face buried into the cushion because she's embarrassed. A few days later, Chitose visits Amane and asks for his advice regarding an important event in February. He is such a certified virgin that he believes she's talking about final exams until Chitose mentions Valentine's Day. She wants to know what kind of chocolates she can give to Itsuki, but Amane believes Mahiru might have a better answer. She says she wanted his opinion too, but because he is a boy. Then she argues a real boy would have made moves on Mahiru already, but Mahiru hears this and starts blushing. He sternly tells Chitose that he and Mahiru aren't like that, but lately, his little Johnny has been getting really excited whenever he is around her. Despite that, he's keeping his soldier tucked because he doesn't want Mahiru to hate him. As Mahiru serves tea, Chitose asks Amane if he likes any special chocolate, and he says he prefers things that aren't too sweet. She then asks Mahiru if she's giving chocolate to any boys, and she says no because they all would think she wants to taste her sausage. She promises to give some to her, and Chitose cuddles up to her in excitement, promising to give her real ones, unlike the ones she's making for Amane. At school, Yuta gets a lot of chocolates from all the hoes who want to tickle his candy, which makes all the other boys jealous. Amane and Itsuki notice this too and wonder how Yuta will carry all those chocolates home with him. They also wonder why he doesn't gain weight eating so many chocolates, and Amane believes it's because he's in the track club. He also says he'll never get enough chocolates to get fat, but Itsuki tells him Chitose has planned a Russian roulette of chocolates for him, which makes him worried. Itsuki then asks if he's getting any from Mahiru, but he says she doesn't let him hit it. Soon after, Chitose brings him a box and tells him she's hidden some spicy and bitter chocolates amid the normal ones. After she leaves, Amane notices Yuta sitting alone and offers him a shopping bag so he can carry all of his chocolates home. At night, he tries Chitose's chocolates, and the first one turns out to be spicy. Mahiru tells him to pretend it's good and swallow it, and even brings him hot chocolate to cleanse his palate. Amane knows she usually makes chocolate milk and asks if she changed up because of Valentine's Day, which makes her blush. She then hides her face behind the cushion and looks at him with pooky eyes, right before sprinting on. Amane then notices that she left a bag on the doorknob with a note thanking him for always taking care of her. He then finds a box of organets inside, and Amane's next note says she made it for him because he doesn't like sweet things. With a smile on his face, Amane tries one and loves the taste. The next day in class, Yuta approaches Amane, which surprises the pick-me girls because Amane has no friends besides Itsuki. Yuta thanks Amane for his help yesterday, and Amane tells him it's no big deal. Itsuki arrives and they start talking about Chitose, who is a chaotic wild animal. Amane asks if his dad approves of his plan to marry Chitose, and Itsuki declares he will slowly win it over. He then wishes Amane good luck with Mahiru, but he reminds him that they are just friends. That evening, Amane returns home to find Mahiru sitting nervously on the couch. He thanks her for the chocolates and asks what she wants in return, but she quietly whispers that he's already given her a lot of things. He argues she does more by cooking and cleaning, but Mahiru believes that, unlike her, he doesn't even realize the things he does for her. Even then, he says he will get her something she likes, but asks her not to keep her hopes high because he's a living, breathing epitome of disappointment. Mahiru says she always cherishes the things he gives her, including the teddy bear he got her. She then stares at him and says she doesn't even know his birthday, and Amane reveals it's November 8th. Mahiru gets upset because it has already passed and asks if he didn't even tell her, and he says they weren't so close back then. She then gently grabs his arm and tells her they will celebrate it together from now on. Amane jokingly asks if she plans to stay with him forever, and Amane gets nervous, admitting that even though she likes him, she doesn't have any intentions to fiddle with his joystick. Later, as White Day rolls in, Amane visits a gift shop and asks the owner to help her buy something for a close friend. That night, he returns home with the gift, and Mahiru is shocked to see that he's changed his hairstyle. He says he tried dressing up for the White Day and can change it if it's distracting her, but she holds him back and tells him that he looks good. She then admits that she can relax around him because he usually looks like a homeless junkie, but when he looks like prime Leonardo DiCaprio, her cookie gets soggy. She then opens her gift, and it turns out to be a cute bracelet alongside an envelope. Inside, she finds some "Make Me Do Anything" cards, which he drew by hand. She decides to use one right now and asks him to put the bracelet on her, but he says he will do it for free. After he puts it around her wrist, she thanks him with a gentle smile, and it is at this moment that Amane realizes he's down bad for her. The next day, Itsuki catches him lacking, but he's genuinely happy because his boy is finally getting some action. Amane is still in denial, saying she'll never date someone like him, but Itsuki makes him understand that his thinking he's not good enough for her means he likes her. At night, he returns home and is shocked to see Mahiru looking like a young housewife. He tells her he was eating fries with Itsuki, and she says it's good for him to put some meat on his bones. Amane tells Mahiru she is pretty skinny herself, but when he grabs her hand to demonstrate, she starts blushing and apologizes for touching her without permission. She nervously blurts out that she doesn't mind being touched by him, but this makes her even more nervous. Amane diverts her attention by asking why she isn't wearing the bracelet, and she says she took it off to do chores because she doesn't want it to be worn out. Amane then heads to his room to change, but drops to his knees behind the door because his heart melts every time he sees her. A few days later, Itsuki tells Amane he had a fight with his dad regarding Chidose and doesn't want to go back home, so Amane lets him stay at his apartment. However, he decides to tell Mahiru first, since they're practically a married couple. Later, Itsuki meets with Mahiru and apologizes for third-wheeling in their relationship, but Amane steps on his toe to make him behave. Mahiru gives him a warm welcome and even makes a special dinner for him, which makes Itsuki jealous because Amane gets to have it every day. That night, Itsuki is convinced Amane has feelings for Mahiru from the way he acts around her. He then mentions how everyone in school thinks he's a nerd, but Mahiru sees more in him, and that's why they get along well. Itsuki adds that Mahiru trusts him a lot, so instead of saying they will never date, Amane should at least take a closer look at her. The next day, Chidose screams into his ears because he invited Itsuki over without telling her. After some time, she shows up at his door too. She eagerly says she will be staying in Mahiru's place since they're on spring break, which makes Amane wonder if Mahiru even agrees or not. Mahiru then whispers to him that she is indeed okay with this arrangement, so Amane decides to stick with her because seeing the lovebirds go at it makes him feel like a virgin. He then asks her what's for lunch, and she says she's making his favorite omurice. Amane says her eggs are the best he's ever had, and his straightforwardness makes her freeze. During lunch, everyone enjoys Mahiru's cooking, and Chidose wonders if she can ever be as good as her. Amane tells her she definitely can if she stops acting like an idiot all the time and asks her to learn manners from Mahiru. Chidose responds that she can't be like Mahiru because she's uptight, and even though she's smiling in school, she looks like she doesn't like it there. However, she looks a lot more comfortable here, and she likes her the most in this state. She then asks Mahiru to open up a little and make Amane buy her the Guxy bag, but she sternly tells him she won't do that, and nothing will happen between them. However, she starts blushing and avoids eye contact with Amane, hinting that they definitely want to smash. Later that night, Amane gets a text from Chidose, and he starts blushing because it's a cute picture of Mahiru with the teddy. Itsuki suddenly takes his picture and sends it to Chidose. The next day, Itsuki and Chidose leave, and Amane tells Mahiru about the picture. Mahiru starts babbling about how she cleans it daily and cuddles with it in bed, but that she gets flustered and asks him to forget what she said. Amane tells her not to feel self-conscious because he finds her antics cute, so she tells him to share something embarrassing about himself so she can feel better about herself. She also says she exchanged numbers with his friends, and she'd ask them instead if he doesn't tell her, only to feel even more embarrassed at her own desperation. Just then, she gets a text from someone, and when she checks her phone, she suddenly goes silent. The next day, Amane enters the building and sees a woman scolding Mahiru outside her apartment. The woman tells her they will go their separate ways once she graduates and asks her to continue sending the necessary documents. She then tells Mahiru not to cause trouble as she walks away. After she leaves, Amane shows up and asks who this woman was, and Mahiru says that was her mother, Sayo. She then tells Amane not to worry about her because Sayo has hated her since birth, and nothing is going to change her mind. As she turns to leave, Amane grabs her hand, which causes her to blush, and he asks her to stay with him. When she says she will be fine, Amane demands that she spend time with him, so she agrees. At his place, they sit on the couch holding hands, and when Amane tightens his grip, she smiles and decides to tell him a story. She tells him her parents didn't marry out of love, but rather to please their families, so they never intended to smash. However, the Wi-Fi wasn't working one night, and they got so bored that they ended up clapping. When Mahiru was born, they only supported her financially, but never actively made any efforts to raise her as a daughter. She adds that they would rarely visit her, and she was left to be raised by their housekeeper. She tried super hard and excelled in everything in hopes that her parents would notice her, but it was all in vain. As she continued her hard work, she turned into her school's angel, but even that didn't help her case. They can't divorce until she's around, and none of them are willing to take her in, so she's waiting to finish school and become independent. When her mother told her she was unwanted, she was so shocked that she sat in the rain, and that was the day Amane came up to her to give her his umbrella. Finally understanding her pain, Amane covers her and suddenly pulls her in for a hug, telling her that she is allowed to cry and let it all out. Mahiru starts to tear up and buries her face into his shoulder, and Amane holds her until she feels better. After she's done, she thanks him for being so kind to her, and decides to lean on his shoulder for a little while longer. She then mentions how the angel is adored and wanted by everyone, but the real Mahiru is lonely and has no one by her side. She then lists all the bad things about her, but Amane says he likes her the most when she's being herself. He points out some of the good qualities she has and asks her to give herself some credit. When he sees her blushing, he starts to panic and explains that Chidose and Itsuki also like her, but his yapping stops when he sees tears of joy in her eyes. She then looks at him with a smile and tells him to pay more attention to her, right before hugging him and asking him to hold her for today. After a while, she starts feeling embarrassed for being so lovey-dovey around him, until Amani tells her to be more open about herself because she is special to him. Amani invites him to take a walk with her and says she's excited to start the new term and change classes. Amani believes she wants to be in the same class as Chidosa, but this annoys her because she wants to be in the same class as him. Then suddenly, she hugs him from behind and thanks him for everything he's done for her. And Amani admits he'll fall for her at this rate. She then looks at the cherry blossom tree and says she's never liked spring because she was always alone during events. But Amani says she is not alone anymore. She then holds his hand, admitting that she doesn't dislike spring as much as she did last year, and it's all thanks to his gentlemanly riz. As the school starts again, Amana and his friends all end up in the same class, and Itsuki is excited to see Amana and Mahiru get closer. Just then, Yuta comes over to say hi, and it takes Amana back to the time another classmate did the same, only to gang up on him later. Later at home, Mahiru notices that he looks spaced out, and he tells her not to worry about it. She then notes that his hair looks very nice today, and she wants to touch it, and he shyly agrees. Mahiru asks him to put his head in her lap, but when he starts to panic, she asks if her juicy drumsticks are not thick enough for him. Amana reluctantly abides by her request, letting her stroke his hair as she wears a smile on her lips. He then asks what she would do if he tried to clap her on the kitchen counter, and she says she would stomp on his family jewels until they turn to dust.
How nasty of you!
She then admits he doesn't have the energy to try something like that anyway, and tells him to rest in her lap for as long as he wants to, which makes him blush. When he starts dozing off, Mahiru jokingly says it's rude to let a girl do all the talking, but he continues to ignore her. She says that a man's fatigue goes away if he rests in a woman's lap, but when she sees he's about to sleep, she lightly slaps him to wake him up. He replies he doesn't want to make it a habit, but Mahiru says she's going to stroke his hair anyway, so he might as well just enjoy it. She then asks him what he feels about this year's class, and he admits he was surprised to see her in the same class as him. Amani suggests they keep some distance in class so people don't suspect their unique arrangement, but she pinches his cheek because he said it so casually. She then asks if they can act normally, at least at home, but Amani says resting in her lap is not normal in his book. She says this does not count, and he admits she's spoiling and rotten. Noticing his sleepy eyes, she tells him to sleep and promises to wake him up later, allowing him to ease up. Later, he suddenly wakes up and learns he's been out for an hour, and that he looks cute when he's sleeping. He asks her not to stare at him, but Mahiru says he's seen her in her most embarrassing state, so it's only fair that she gets to see him too. When he tries to protest, she pinches his cheeks and only lets go when he apologizes. She then cups his face and says his cheeks have more color than before, and he can always lean on her the way she did on him. She then pinches his cheek again, and he realizes she's being extra pushy today. The next day, Amani goes to the arcade and brings home a bag of rewards, which all turn out to be cute plushies. Mahiru grabs the bunny and starts cuddling with it because she finds it the cutest. Amana looks at her with a grin that flusters her, and she hides her face in his shoulder, asking him not to treat her this way. She then starts throwing a tantrum, so Amani pats her head to calm her down, and she feels guilty because he's always giving her something. She says she wants to pay him back and is willing to do anything he asks, and for a second, Amani thinks about what all of you Gunners are thinking right now. He then controls his urges and tells her to make a pudding for him, and Mahiru agrees to do it. Wasting no time, she heads to the store to buy lots of eggs and immediately makes him pudding. After eating, he tells her that eating her delicious meals is the highlight of his day, which flatters her. He also thanks her for her daily efforts to make sure he stays healthy. But Mahiru gets so nervous that she runs away to do the dishes. Amana grabs her arm and pats her head, but this causes her to bury her face in the couch. The next day, Yuta asks Amana and Itsuki if they want to have lunch together, and they agree, though Itsuki wonders why Yuta is being friendly with them. Yuta responds that Amana is a good guy, so he wants to get to know him better. Amana then notices Mahiru pouting in the class, and later asks him if she is mad at him. She says it's not his fault, and she's narrow-minded, but Amana apologizes anyway, which upsets her. She then says she feels a little jealous because Yuta casually walked up to him, and they became friends in a snap, all while she is holding back. Seeing him chill with the boys makes her feel left out, but Amani says if she were to hang out with a loser like him suddenly, it would look weird. This upsets Mahiru because he's putting himself down, so she scolds him and orders him to stop insulting himself. She also wishes to spend time with him at school, so Amani suggests they act like new friends so people don't suspect, which makes her happy. The next day, the teacher asks the students to make groups for the cooking class, and Mahiru asks Amana to pair up with her. Later, he learns that Cheetos pushed Mahiru to do it, and this starts a friendly banter between him and Itsuki about how they're both very annoying. Later, they all start cooking, and Amani follows Mahiru's instructions, prompting Cheetos to tease them by calling them newlyweds. But Mahiru sternly tells her to focus on cooking, because she doesn't want anyone to see her blushing. Once they're done cooking, Amana and Mahiru leave to get salad, but some boys goofing around almost throw hot gravy on Mahiru. Amane acts quickly and saves her, and as the whole class stares at him, he gives a powerful speech about being responsible adults, which gives Mahiru butterflies in her stomach. Later, Chitose tells him he was really cool back there, but he says he had to protect Mahiru. At home, Amane tells her he got jealous stares when he grabbed her, but he won't abandon being her friend. She gets a little upset thinking she's in the friend zone, so Amane starts patting her head. She feels annoyed thinking he uses this to get away from trouble, but he says he only does it with her. She expresses her frustration about something Amane doesn't understand, so he asks what she wants him to do. She tells him to pat her head, and it makes her blush when he fulfills her request. With the Golden Week coming around, Mahiru feels dissatisfied because she has no plans. When Amane says he is free too, she pulls out a favorite ticket he gave her and asks if he give her one day of the week. She says she wants to hang out and go shopping, and Amane says she doesn't need to use the ticket for that. However, she insists on using the tickets because she wants him to carry her bags. She adds that she wants to go somewhere he also enjoys and looks at him with bubbly eyes, so he can tell her where he wants to go. Amane gives in to her cuteness and reveals that he wants to go to a cat cafe because that's the closest he's ever gonna get to touching a kitty. She agrees and also suggests going to an arcade, and it makes her happy when Amane says he's looking forward to it. On the first day of the week, Chitose drops by for a cooking class with Mahiru and turns Amane's whole house into a chaotic circus. Amane remembers the Russian roulette chocolates she made for him, so he begs her to make something that is actually edible this time. The girls begin cooking by peeling the shrimp, while Amane falls asleep on the couch. When he wakes up, he finds himself leaning on Mahiru, who says she didn't want to wake him up because he looked at peace. As they both nervously blush, Chitose starts making freaky jokes about them having happy nappy together, which annoys Amane. He asks her if she did anything to him while he was sleeping, and she cryptically says it wasn't her. As they gather to have breakfast, Amane hesitates because he doesn't trust Chitose, but Mahiru assures him that the food is safe to eat. After Chitose leaves, Amane nervously admits she squished his cheeks and played with his hair when he was sleeping. He tells her it's fine because he likes touching her cheeks too, and while she soaks it in, she reminds him about their date tomorrow. She also asks if he has any preference when it comes to her dress, and Amane says he likes prim and proper. The next day, she shows up looking like a gorgeous doll, and he immediately notices she has put her hair up. She feels a little weird about it, but when Amane says she looks bussin', she finally eases up. Later, they head to the cat cave, and Mahiru is drawn in by the cutest animal nature can offer. However, when a cat named Silk runs away from her, Amane asks her not to be sad because cats take their time getting used to people. When she's served a coffee with a cat drawn with cream, she says it's too cute to drink, which makes Amane laugh. She eventually takes a sip but gets cream on her mouth, so Amane quickly snaps a picture. Later, a cat jumps into Mahiru's lap, and she notices that Silk is already sleeping in Amane's lap. Amane believes Silk is just like Mahiru, who was uptight at first, but slowly opened up and became cute and cuddly. Realizing he has been treating her like a cat, Mahiru pouts as her cheeks go red. Afterward, they walk the mall holding hands, and Amane spots a dress that he thinks would look good on her. She tries it on in the changing room, but when some girls try to hit on Amane, she locks arms with him and takes him away. At the arcade, Mahiru wins a plushie that looks like Silk, so she decides to give it to Amane, because Silk the cat was friendly with him. He asks if it's really okay because she tried so hard to get it, and she replies that she was trying hard only for his sake. Hearing this, Amane accepts the gift and is about to pat her head, but they are interrupted by Yuta. Yuta is surprised that Mahiru has a boyfriend, but she quickly corrects him that they are not a couple. They then explain their living next door situation to Yuta, but he's kind of fruity and focuses more on how good Amane looks when he actually dresses up. He then asks for Mahiru's opinion. She shyly admits Amane looks cute. She also asks Yuta not to tell this to anyone in class, and Yuta says he's not the type to gossip. Later, Amane apologizes to Mahiru because Yuta found out about them, but she says it's fine because it was out of their control. Amane is relieved it was Yuta and not some other guy, because now that he knows more about him, he knows Yuta is a good guy. Mahiru tells Amane he is also a good guy, but she gets upset when he downplays himself. She grips his hand and tells him that she will overwhelm him with praise until he begs her to stop, and the only way out for him is to be kind to himself. The next day, Amane meets up with the boys, who want to know more about his date, and when he says it's just a casual friendship, Itsuki thinks otherwise and exposes how Mahiru spends most of her time in Amane's apartment. Yuta asks if she's a wife in training, but Amane nervously replies that they eat together to split the cost. Yuta isn't convinced because he knows no girl would be so casual around a guy if she weren't interested in him, making him question if he has feelings for her. Later, he returns home and startles Mahiru, who quickly hides her phone and asks if he had fun. He asks her what she is hiding, and she shyly tells him that he was looking at his old pictures, which she got from his mom. He demands to see the pictures, but when Mahiru tries to run away, they somehow end up in the default position. Mahiru freezes up and goes red, but Amane pinches her cheek and tells her she looks funny. Annoying, she hands him her phone, but her reaction tells that she liked getting pinned down.
Yeah, boy.
Later, she asks him what his plans are for Mother's Day, and Amano replies that he'll just send a bouquet to his mom. He says he could help them around the house if he were there, but he'll probably make things worse. Mahiru wonders why his parents let him live alone, given how he has fewer housework skills than an OnlyFans model, and he says it is for a different reason. While patting her head, he tells her not to worry about it because his reason was not that important, but she calls him a liar. She then places her hand on his cheek and says she hates to see him hurting, so he should tell her about it. Amana then tells her his parents took good care of him and were well off. He didn't realize how rare that was and trusted everyone, but some guys pretended to be his friends when in reality they wanted to use his money. When he caught them talking behind his back, he became paranoid and started doubting his real friends too. He wanted to go somewhere far and start fresh, where no one knew who he was, and that's why he moved out. Mahiru says she would have punched those idiots in their faces if she were there, but Amani says he doesn't want her to hurt her pretty hands. He also reminds her that she has a far worse life than him, so she shouldn't worry about his minor inconvenience. Despite this, she tells him not to compare their past as his pain is not any less meaningful than hers, and offers to hold him up whenever he feels down, just like he did for her. He questions how much she will pamper him, and Mahiru says she will pamper him as much as she can. Amani worries he'll become helpless, but she reminds him he was helpless from the very beginning. She also knows he is reliable, strong, and an overall good person, so she wants to spoil him when he's with her. When Aman avoids eye contact, she pulls him into a hug and tells him that it's okay for him to let his guard down. While holding him, she recalls how he did the same for her when she needed it, so she vows to become someone whom he can confide in. When she says she wants him to comfort her the next time she's sad, Aman finally stops resisting and hugs her back, which makes her really happy. After a while, he goes back to his default tough boy settings, which annoys Mahiru because she would never do this with anyone else. Amana then suddenly hugs her from the back, and she starts blushing even though she was holding him moments ago. He then says he is a selfish guy, and he only hugged her because he knew she wouldn't stop him. And Amani says she is the same as him. She then smiles at him and starts making dinner, and Amani, completely love-struck at this point, whispers to himself that Mahiru is a dummy. The next day, he wakes up early and goes on a walk so he can become better for her. Later in class, some girls asked Mahiru if she went to the mall with a boy, and she says she indeed went with a friend. The girls are relieved because they thought it was a date, but Mahiru tells them it was, in fact, a date because this friend is the most dearest person in her life. Later, Amani asks Mahiru why she said that in class, and she says she meant every word of it. Amani worries people will get the wrong idea, but Mahiru says things would have been worse if she dodged the question. Amani admits she makes sense, but asks her to warn him next time, or he might get the wrong idea too. When he says she would have been confused too if he did the same thing, but Mahiru tells her it's different for her because she's popular and people keep an eye on her all the time. Later, he tells Mahiru that he has started working out because he wants to look more like a Chad and less like a twink. She offers her full support, saying she will do anything for him, but in return, she would ask him for a favor. Amana tells her to try asking right now, but she is unable to speak her mind and instead asks for a head pat, stating that she likes it when he touches her. That night, Amana shows up in his room, dressed like a smoking hot piece of meat, and gets on top of him, asking him to take her to Pound Town. She then leans in to kiss him, but Amani suddenly wakes up covered in cold sweats and realizes it was all just a dream. After spilling the baby gravy in his pants, he heads to the laundry room, where he feels guilty about the whole situation. In class, Chidose asks him why he looks pale, and he says it's because he went on an early morning jog. Mahiru suggests he rest after school, but she can read from his expression that something is bothering him. At home, she asks him if she did something to upset her, and Amani assures her it's not her fault. He apologizes, saying he has a lot on his mind, but Mahiru tears up, thinking he does not like her anymore. He tells her that's not the case, and he is dealing with something private, so Mahiru asks for details. He finally tells her he busted a fat coconut over her in his dream and feels guilty about it, but Mahiru is interested in knowing all the details, making him wonder if she is a masochist. He then realizes she is just messing with him, and Mahiru says it's all good because he's the sweetest guy she knows. Aman admits he's never gotten goofy with any other girl, and Mahiru is happy knowing she is his first. However, the dual meaning phrase makes him flustered, so he asks Mahiru to stop staring at him. Mahiru abides and sits back to back with him, which helps calm his nerves. A few days later, a test is announced, and Amane tells Mahiru he's holding a group study with the boys. She says she will make extra food for them and even offers to join the group. Amane asks her to invite Chidose too, but Mahiru says she is already invited because she was begging for help earlier, and they had already made plans to study together. Amana then says he wants to be in the top 10 this time, and Mahiru adds to his motivation by offering him one wish if he completes his goal. He wonders what she will do if he asks for something risky, and she calmly says she will grant anything he desires. He nervously says he would like to lie on her lap like before, and she grins because she finds his expression cute. The next day, the whole gang comes over, and they study for hours and enjoy Mahiru's cooking before leaving. Later, Mahiru brings him on a coffee, and when he asks why she does so much for him, she says she loves taking care of him. She then leans in and touches his lips, telling him to let her spoil him. A few days later, the test results come out, and Amane is in 6th place, so Mahiru walks up to her and reminds her about the reward she promised. Amane notices Mahiru is in 1st place as always, so when they get home, he asks if she wants a reward too. She simply asks him to help with chopping up the cucumber.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
But Amane says he was thinking of something else. Mahiru says she wants nothing extra from him, as she is satisfied with everything right now, and what she truly wishes for is something only she can give herself. Afterward, she asks Amane to lie in her lap so she can clean his ears, but when he hesitates, she reminds him that this was his own idea. Amane explains it's just his inner ditty kicking in, but she says it's fine because this is the reward for his hard work. With that, he finally gets in place, and while cleaning his ear, Mahiru asks if she finds this romantic. He admits he does, and when she asks him to turn over, he suddenly looks at her juicy drumsticks, which makes him flustered. After she's done cleaning, she starts playing with his hair, and when he begins to relax, she calls him an obedient little puppy. Soon after, Amane drifts to sleep, and when he wakes up, he sees that Mahiru has also dozed off. He tries to wake her up, but she's in a deep sleep, so he gently touches her face and admits that he likes her. He then shakes her and tells her to go home, but Mahiru leans into his chest and refuses to wake up. He then realizes he has no choice but to carry her to her room, so once he gets there and places her on the bed, she wakes up a little and asks her to sit beside her. Amane proves he's an eternal virgin by patting her head and placing a plushie beside her, and Mahiru hugs it before sleeping once again. The next day, she shows up at his place, all nervous, and while Amane believes she came for the key, she instead wants to know if he saw the picture on her desk. Amane says he tried not to look too much, so he must have missed it, though he saw all the stuffed animals lined up on her desk. He even tells her she invited him to sleep with her, but he left her with a plushie instead. Hearing this makes her panic, and she nervously blurts out that she didn't mean anything freaky about it. As she continues to yap, Amane tells her to be careful, because even though they are close friends, they can't sleep together. This suddenly changes her mood, and she starts teasing him because he has already slept in her lap. Amane tells her it's different, and he was raising a whole other issue, but Mahiru gets a little upset and leaves him confused. A few days later, Mahiru shows up early morning to show her summer uniform, and Amane gets flustered because she's not wearing tights. Mahiru thinks he doesn't like her legs, but Amane explains he just doesn't want other guys to drool over her. She then asks why he's so nervous, because he has already seen her legs. But Amane argues that it was an emergency, and he didn't have any sussy thoughts back then. She asks if he is having sussy thoughts right now, but when Amane avoids eye contact, she apologizes for teasing him. When she says she already planned to wear stockings, Amane claps back by asking if she just wanted to show him her legs. Blushing at first, Mahiru asked him what he would do if she said yes, admitting that she wanted to know what he thought of it. Amane says it's hard for him to look at her legs, but she looks really cute, so she should put the stockings on. Mahiru finds his reactions cute and says she is happy he is the first one to see her in her summer uniform. At school, all the boys keep staring at her, and Amane feels annoyed because of it. After class, Yuta invites Amane to hang out, but when they see that Mahiru is about to staple notes alone, they choose to help her instead. Soon after, they hear some girls talking smack about Mahiru in the hall, which upsets Amane. At home, Mahiru assures him she's not hurt by it, because a few people are bound to dislike her among the dozens that do like her. She also believes those girls probably only dislike her position in class, and Amane says he actually prefers the real Mahiru over the angel. He mentions how much she has changed over the months, so much so that she starts touching him without thinking of the consequences. As she gets nervous, Amane admits she's giving him the wrong message, so she needs to be careful. After throwing a fit, she admits her contrasting personality in class is tiring, and she would rather be herself around someone who likes her for who she truly is. For her, that person is Amane, so she declares she will stop acting like an angel in school and let her true self shine. Amane suddenly gets a little sad, and she forces him to reveal that he is jealous because other boys will now see her real self, whereas before, it was their little secret. Seeing his possessiveness makes Mahiru happy, and she tells him that he is not only cute, but also a very cool person. Amane tells her to stop or he'll shut her mouth with his hand, but she gently cups his face and says he is very special to her. Amane suddenly pins her and covers her mouth with his hand, warning her that he won't use his hand next time. As he pulls back, Mahiru suddenly pulls him in and kisses him on the cheek before running out of his apartment, leaving him in shock. The next day in class, Mahiru discusses participating in the scavenger race, but when Amane walks in, she suddenly goes silent. Itsuki notices this and later asks Amane if he and Mahiru had a fight, and he struggles to tell him it's quite the opposite. The boys ask him why he's moping around, and Amane admits it would be easier to make a move if he knew Mahiru liked him back. He adds that he wants to take it slow, but they both want to smack him in the jewels because he's been taking it slow for the entire show. At home, Mahiru arrives and apologizes for leaving before dinner, and he tells her it's fine. She then sits beside him on the couch, and he asks why she did that yesterday. She replies that she wanted to get back at him because he did it too, but even though Amane only touched her face, he lets her have it. The next day, Chidose and Itsuki learn that they are on opposite teams for the race, and they start acting like the whole universe is trying to break them apart. While Amane cringes in the background, they ask him what event he is in, but he hasn't made a decision yet. At night, he asks Mahiru the same question, and she says she picked the scavenger race. Amane says he also picked the same, and Mahiru jokes that he's a lazy potato who wants to avoid athletics. He admits he doesn't like being forced into athletics, and Mahiru says she is the same. As they keep talking, Amane digs into a cup of ice cream, but when he notices Mahiru wants it too, he feeds her with his own hands. Seeing her enjoy it makes the guy blush, so he just hands her the entire cup before she notices his little Johnny giving her a standing ovation. On the sports day, Chidose takes part in the relay race and wins it for her team. She then approaches Amane and tells her that she is in charge of the scavenge race, and it won't disappoint him. Once the race begins, Mahiru tells Amane that their cards are linked, so they must work together to win. As they start running, Mahiru asks Amane what he is searching for, but he says it's a secret. She then holds his hand and tells him to run to the finish line with her. Once they get there, Chidose reads their cards. Amane's card said find someone he thinks is beautiful, and Mahiru's card said find someone very dear to you. Since the whole school now knows, Amane looks at her with a shocked look, but Mahiru doesn't care what others think. Later in class, the boys gather around him, clearly frustrated that he rised up their school's juiciest mommy. They bombard him with many questions, and he admits he's been friends with her for over a year. He also admits he kept it hidden because he knew everyone would freak out. But this upsets the boys because it feels like he doesn't care about their angel. Amane admits he couldn't care less if it came with a paycheck because he's solely interested in the real Mahiru. Just then, the angel herself enters the room and asks the boys not to bother Amane too much. She declares that Amane is very dear to her, but the boys start wondering why she is interested in a walking disappointment. Instead of getting upset, she politely asks them to describe exactly what part of him is dull. The boys are taken aback and say Amane looks ugly, so she questions if they only care about people for their looks. She then goes on to school everyone who thinks badly of Amane, stating that their narrow mind is the very reason she thinks free speech should be banned. She then apologizes for being so forward, and adds that Amane is actually a very cool and kind person. She also lists all the good qualities that Amane has demonstrated in the past year, and in the end, the boys feel embarrassed for being so judgmental. Later that day, Amane vows to himself that he will confess his feelings to Mahiru when they get home. Later, he sits on his couch thinking of the right words when Mahiru casually walks in and sits beside him. She knows he has a lot of things to say to her, but she wants him to hold them in a little longer because she wants to say something first. She then apologizes for bringing all that attention to him, and also admits she knew it would happen. Amane says he is not upset, which makes her feel better. He also apologizes for being a coward who has been pretending not to see her feelings, and Mahiru admits she did the same. Once they both realize they have feelings for each other, Amane pulls her in for a hug and voices out that he has never fallen for anyone before. He thought he'd never trust anyone ever again because of what happened in the past, but here he is, deeply in love with her. Initially, he didn't think she was cute because she was always so bossy and mean, but then he wanted to learn more about her. He wanted to touch her, hold and treasure her, but he held back because he thought he wasn't good enough. But when she told him how she saw him, he used it to get closer to her. Mahiru pleads guilty to doing the same thing, admitting she was gatekeeping because she didn't want anyone else to take him away. With that, Amane asks her if she will go out with him, and Mahiru happily accepts. Amane then pulls her into a deep hug, promising that he will become a better man for her and cherish her for the rest of his life. If you want someone to love you as much as Mahiru loves Amane, you have to stop gooning to Tood Anime Babes. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more amazing recaps.